Ethan Carter adjusted his flight jacket nervously as the shuttle descended through the lavender clouds of Zyphora. He had spent months preparing for this mission, learning alien etiquette, customs, and even practicing Lyrian greetings that sounded more like musical notes than spoken words. Yet, nothing could have prepared him for the moment he first saw Liara. She was standing near the crystal observation tower, her elongated silhouette bathed in the soft glow of Zyphora's twin suns. Her skin shimmered with faint luminescence, a subtle play of color that changed depending on her mood, or at least that was what the guides said. Ethan felt a twinge of panic. He was supposed to be calm, diplomatic, and professional. Instead, he found himself imagining what it might feel like to simply hold her hand. "Focus, Ethan," he muttered under his breath, trying to steady his racing thoughts. "You are here as a representative of humanity, not as whatever this is." Ethan swallowed hard and offered the rehearsed greeting in Lyrian. "Silit and Liara, I am honored to meet you." He could feel the sweat forming at the back of his neck. He had trained for negotiations, for crises, for first contact scenarios, but nothing had prepared him for this personal encounter. Liara gestured for him to follow. Her movements were graceful, precise, almost like liquid. Ethan tried to match her pace but stumbled slightly over a small step, catching himself on the railing. She glanced back at him, her expression unreadable. A flicker of what might have been amusement crossed her features. They walked along the crystal bridge connecting the observation tower to the main city. Below them, Zyphora stretched out like a living jewel. Towering spires of crystal reflected the sunlight in rainbows, and rivers of liquid silver snaked through the city. Ethan had never seen anything so beautiful. "Humans have never seen anything like this," he whispered, more to himself than to Liara. She turned her head slightly, acknowledging him with a subtle nod. He realized he had spoken aloud what he meant as a private thought, and a small flush of embarrassment crept into his cheeks. As they reached a balcony overlooking one of the largest crystal plazas, Ethan caught sight of one of Liara's inventions, a hovering energy orb that moved with her hand, responding instantly to her gestures. He couldn't resist the impulse to speak. "It's amazing, your work, it's incredible." Encouraged, he continued, but in his nervousness, the words tumbled out too fast. "And you are gorgeous." Her eyes widened slightly, and a soft glow ran across her cheeks, brighter than usual. Then, unexpectedly, she leaned closer, her voice melodic and teasing. "Say it again, human." I meant you are really. You are gorgeous." Liara was more relaxed around him, and Ethan found himself laughing at her small jokes, marveling at how even her humor was different from anything he had experienced. She spoke in lyrical tones, her words flowing like music, yet somehow they were easy to understand thanks to the translator. As they approached the Lyrian Research Center, Ethan's attention was drawn to the bustling scientists around them. Hovering drones moved seamlessly through the air, carrying glowing instruments and containers of liquid energy. The air hummed with the soft vibrations of advanced technology, and Ethan felt both awe and anxiety. Humans were clever, yes, but in comparison to the Lyrian, their technology was rudimentary. "Impressive, isn't it?" Liara said, following his gaze. Her tone was almost conspiratorial, as if sharing a secret. "But there is always room for improvement. We find solutions even with limited resources." Liara demonstrated a holographic interface, manipulating streams of light with her fingers. Ethan was fascinated. He tried to understand the logic, the patterns, but it felt alien, literally and figuratively. Yet he noticed small inefficiencies, things a Lyrian might overlook. "Would you like to try?" Liara asked, raising an eyebrow. Ethan hesitated. His hands hovered over the interface, unsure if he would break it. Then, on impulse, he mimicked her motions, moving the energy streams in ways that were unconventional but effective. The interface responded, adapting to his improvisation. Liara tilted her head in surprise, clearly impressed. "You are clever, human, not in the way we expected." Humans were adaptable, creative, unpredictable, and in this moment that made him more than just a visitor. It made him a partner, a contributor. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed, and the hum of the research center shifted into a tense frequency. Ethan and Liara exchanged a glance. Something was wrong. A rogue faction of Lyrian scientists had triggered a containment breach in the experimental energy chamber. Panels sparked, and a strange, humming energy began to leak into the room. Ethan's training kicked in. He didn't understand all the alien mechanisms, but he knew enough to act fast. "Move back!" Liara shouted, her voice commanding but calm. She waved her hand, creating a temporary barrier of energy. Ethan grabbed a floating tool nearby, improvising a makeshift lever to redirect the flow of energy. Sparks flew, and he yelped as a small shock ran through his glove, but he kept going. Liara's eyes widened in amazement. "You are fearless human and inventive. Improvisation is what humans do best. Perhaps humans are more valuable than I imagined." As they left the research hall, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the crystalline city. Ethan looked at Liara and felt a rare sense of hope. Maybe humans were small and fragile in the universe, but their heart, creativity, and courage could shine brighter than any crystal. And maybe, just maybe, he had found someone worth trying to impress in more ways than one. They walked back toward the observation tower in companionable silence, the city below alive with light and energy. Ethan felt a thrill of anticipation. If the rest of the mission went anything like this first encounter, he knew he was in for a journey unlike any other, a journey where humans could shine, even among the stars. Liara glanced at him, her eyes reflecting the twin suns of Zyphora. "Human," she said softly, "perhaps your species is not as ordinary as we thought." He had survived his first encounter, impressed the brilliant Liara, and learned that sometimes, even a mistake, like calling an alien girl gorgeous, could lead to something extraordinary. The adventure on Zyphora was just beginning, and Ethan felt ready for whatever the stars might throw at him next. The sun was low in the Zyphoran sky, casting long prisms of light across the city as Ethan and Liara made their way back to the main council hall. The events in the research center had left Ethan's mind racing. Rogue scientists, energy breaches, a city that looked peaceful but was clearly vulnerable. Yet through it all, Liara had been calm, efficient, and even a little playful. Ethan found himself walking slightly behind her, trying to match her graceful stride. Every so often, he caught her glance, a spark of amusement or curiosity in her glowing eyes. He couldn't deny that he was drawn to her, both as an ally and as something more. He had learned one important thing. Lyrian were not humans, and their reactions, gestures, and even expressions were unique. But the small signs of amusement, interest, and trust were universal. The council hall was enormous, with walls made of transparent crystal that reflected the city lights like 1,000 stars. A group of Lyrian elders awaited them, seated in floating chairs that hovered effortlessly above the floor. Liara gestured for Ethan to stand beside her. "Human Representative Ethan Carter," she announced in her melodic tones, "has assisted in preventing a critical breach in our research center. He has demonstrated courage, creativity, and resourcefulness. Most humans lack the precision required to manage Lyrian technology. Adaptation, unpredictability, these are traits of interest. Humans may prove more valuable than anticipated." After the formalities, Liara guided Ethan to a quieter area of the hall. "There is more to your mission," she said softly. "The rogue faction may have stolen or duplicated the energy source. If they succeed, Zyphora itself could be threatened. They are not thinking logically. They are thinking of power, not consequence. We must intercept them before they reach the outer regions." I am beginning to appreciate that more than I thought I would. They decided to pursue the rogue scientists to the crystal outskirts, a series of floating platforms and spires that stretched into Zyphora's upper atmosphere. The rogue group had hidden among the dense energy crystal formations, using the terrain to their advantage. As they approached the outskirts in a hovercraft modified by Ethan's ingenuity, the landscape shifted around them. Crystalline bridges connected floating spires, some of them translucent, some reflecting the auroras above. Ethan felt a thrill mixed with fear. One misstep could send them plummeting into the deep below. Liara observed him with her usual calm. "You are nervous," she stated. Ethan smirked. "Is it that obvious?" "Your emotions show in ways we do not anticipate, but it is charming." "If we approach from above, we can bypass the main barrier," he said. "We can create a distraction with the hovercraft while your drones disable the energy locks." Ethan piloted the hovercraft high above the spire, weaving through the crystalline columns with precision. Liara's drones darted around, deactivating the energy shields with synchronized movements. The rogue scientists, caught off guard, scrambled to activate a hidden weapon chamber. Ethan's heart pounded. The chamber was unstable, and one wrong move could trigger a chain reaction. He grabbed a remote control device he had rigged earlier, sending a pulse through the rogue's energy field. Sparks flew and the barrier destabilized. Liara's voice came through the communicator, calm but firm. "Now, Ethan, go in." The rogue scientists turned, surprised by the sudden human presence. "Stop!" one of them shouted, but Ethan didn't hesitate. Using quick thinking, he triggered a makeshift tether, catching one of the rogue energy orbs and redirecting it harmlessly into the crystal wall. The orb shattered, leaving the scientists stunned. Liara's drones swooped in, immobilizing the others with non-lethal energy nets. Ethan felt a surge of pride. Humans may not have Lyrian technology, but they had adaptability, courage, and creativity, and in combination with Liara's skill, they were unstoppable. Once the rogue faction was contained, Ethan and Liara assessed the spire. The stolen energy source was intact but unstable. Ethan's eyes scanned the structure. "We need to move it somewhere safe. I can rig a containment field with what we have here." As they rested on a nearby platform, watching the sun set over the crystalline horizon, Ethan felt a sense of accomplishment. "We make a good team," he said, letting a smile break through. Liara tilted her head, a faint glow running across her cheeks. "Yes, we do, and I enjoy your company, human. Even when you're terrifyingly brilliant." Ethan knew that this was only the beginning of their adventure. "Do you ever get scared?" Ethan asked suddenly. Liara's gaze turned thoughtful. "Fear is natural, even for the Lyrian, but courage comes from knowing that you are not alone." Yet in that moment, standing beside Liara on a fragile platform above a city of crystal, he realized that courage was not the absence of fear. It was the willingness to act despite it. "Then I guess we're both brave," he said, smiling. Liara's glow brightened slightly, a subtle expression of approval. "Yes, and together perhaps we are more than brave, perhaps we are effective." "I'll take that as a compliment." Humans may have been small and fragile compared to the Lyrian, but they had heart, ingenuity, and unpredictability, qualities that could tip the balance in any situation. And as Ethan walked beside Liara, he realized that this mission was no longer just about diplomacy or saving a city. It was about proving that humans could shine among the stars, not just through strength, but through creativity, courage, and connection. Liara glanced at him, her eyes reflecting the moons above. "Human," she said softly, "your species is full of surprises. Do you ever stop surprising me?" "Not a chance." Liara caught his arm lightly, a subtle gesture of companionship. "Tomorrow we will continue the investigation," she said. "But tonight, let us rest. You have earned it, human." For the first time, he felt truly at home among the stars, standing beside someone who understood the value of human creativity, bravery, and heart. As he lay in his quarters that night, Ethan thought about the day's events. The accidental compliment, the rogue scientists, the daring pursuit, and the teamwork, it all formed a pattern. Humans were small, yes, but in unpredictable ways, they could influence events larger than themselves. And perhaps, just perhaps, he was beginning to understand what it meant to be human in the vast universe. Outside, Zyphora's twin moons bathed the city in silvery light. The crystal towers glimmered like beacons of possibility, and Ethan felt a surge of determination. The adventure was far from over, and as he drifted to sleep, he couldn't help but smile at the thought of Liara, the brilliant, mysterious alien who had asked him to say something he never thought he would say again. Gorgeous. Tomorrow, the real challenges would begin. But tonight, humans had proven something important. That with courage, creativity, and a willingness to take risks, even accidental risks, they could make a difference in worlds far beyond their own. And Ethan knew without a doubt that he was ready. Ethan woke early, the twin sons of Zyphora just beginning to cast their golden light across the crystal city. His mind was already racing with plans, strategies, and contingencies. The rogue faction had been temporarily stopped, but they were still out there, likely plotting their next move. He knew that waiting passively was not an option. Humans thrived when they acted, when they adapted, when they faced challenges head-on. Liara appeared outside his quarters, her glow soft in the morning light. "You are awake early, human," she said, her melodic voice teasing but serious. Ethan smiled, stretching. "I was thinking about the rogue faction. We can't let them get another chance to misuse the energy source. I have some ideas." "This should be interesting. They know we are watching the city, but humans, and you, can use creativity to stay ahead. We can't rely solely on brute force. The Lyrian might be stronger, but humans are adaptable. That's our advantage." Ethan suggested a combination of human improvisation and Lyrian technology. Liara's drones would provide surveillance, while Ethan would create diversions, using devices he modified with the limited materials available in the city. The plan was risky, but Ethan thrived on risk. He had learned that humans often excelled in situations where creativity and quick thinking mattered more than raw power. This was one of those situations. As they moved toward the outskirts, the city below shimmered in the morning light. Ethan piloted the hovercraft with precision, his mind scanning for any sign of the rogue faction. The floating spires created a labyrinthine path, and one wrong turn could send them plunging into the abyss below. Liara's drones flitted ahead, scanning the terrain and sending back real-time data. Ethan noticed her glancing at him occasionally, her expression curious and slightly amused. "You seem calm," she said. "Experience," Ethan replied with a grin. "And a lot of practice improvising under pressure." He adjusted the hovercraft to hover just above the surface, careful not to disturb the fragile crystal. The rogue faction appeared ahead, moving quickly between spires. They carried energy packs, clearly planning to use them for a weapon or experiment. Ethan signaled Liara's drones. "Let's create a distraction. Draw them toward the outer bridge, where we have the advantage." Ethan ran along the bridge, careful to keep his weight balanced. He tossed improvised devices ahead of the rogues, small energy pulses that temporarily disrupted their path. The rogue faction reacted quickly, but Ethan's unpredictability kept them off balance. Liara followed from above, controlling her drones to block escape routes and disable energy traps. The combination of human improvisation and Lyrian technology was unexpectedly powerful. One of the rogue scientists activated a weapon chamber, releasing a surge of energy that threatened to destabilize the spire. Ethan acted immediately, using a tether to redirect the energy harmlessly into the crystal wall. Sparks flew, but the rogue was caught off guard, losing control of the chamber. Liara's drones immobilized the remaining rogues with energy nets, and Ethan felt a surge of pride. Humans may have been physically weaker than the Lyrian, but their creativity and courage were unmatched. With the rogue faction contained, Ethan and Liara assessed the spire. The stolen energy packs were intact but volatile. Ethan's mind raced. "We need to move these somewhere safe. I can improvise a containment field using the materials here." As they rested on a nearby platform, watching the sun glint off the crystalline structures, Ethan felt a sense of accomplishment. "We make a good team," he said, smiling. Liara's expression softened. "Yes, and I enjoy your company, human. Your species surprises me. Even when you make me feel like I'm walking on crystals at the edge of the world." Ethan suggested improvised security measures that combined human creativity with Lyrian technology. Liara implemented them, often pausing to admire his unconventional solutions. By evening, the rogue faction had been neutralized, at least temporarily. Ethan and Liara returned to the city, walking along the bridges as the twin moons rose. Ethan looked out over the glowing spires and rivers of liquid silver, feeling a sense of awe. Humans were small and fragile in comparison to the Lyrian, but their ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability made them formidable allies. Liara glanced at him, a faint glow running across her cheeks. "Human," she said softly, "your species is remarkable. You may be small, but your actions are significant." Humans had proven that they could face challenges that seemed insurmountable, and that day they had done it not with strength, but with courage, creativity, and collaboration. As they returned to the council hall, Liara's expression softened further. "Tomorrow we will continue the investigation, but tonight, rest. You have earned it, human." The accidental compliment, the pursuit of the rogue faction, the teamwork, and the improvisation, it all formed a pattern. Humans were small, yes, but in unpredictable ways, they could influence events larger than themselves. And perhaps, he thought with a smile, humans could shine among the stars not just through strength, but through creativity, courage, and connection. Outside, Zyphora's twin moons bathed the city in silver light. The crystal towers glimmered like beacons of possibility, and Ethan felt a surge of determination. The adventure was far from over, and as he drifted to sleep, he couldn't help but smile at the thought of Liara, the brilliant, mysterious alien who had asked him to say something he never thought he would say again. Gorgeous. Tomorrow, the real challenges would begin. But tonight, humans had proven something important. That with courage, creativity, and a willingness to take risks, even accidental risks, they could make a difference in worlds far beyond their own. Ethan knew without a doubt that he was ready. The next morning, the twin sons of Zyphora cast golden beams across the crystal spires, making the city shimmer as if it were made of light itself. Ethan felt a mixture of anticipation and tension. Today would be the decisive moment. The rogue faction had survived, and they were desperate. If they activated the stolen energy source, the consequences could be catastrophic. Liara met him at the edge of the city, her glow calm and steady. "Human," she said softly, "today we face the faction again. This time they are likely prepared for us. You must be ready." "I'm ready," he said, though inside he felt the familiar rush of nerves. Humans often thrived under pressure, and he had learned that adrenaline could sharpen instincts. Today, he would need every ounce of creativity and courage he had. Liara led the way toward the Sky Spire Plateau, a network of floating platforms that rose high into the upper atmosphere. The rogue faction had taken refuge there, using the natural structure of the crystals to shield themselves. Ethan studied the terrain carefully. Narrow bridges, transparent platforms, and energy barriers created both opportunities and dangers. A single misstep could mean disaster. "We must act quickly," Liara said, controlling her drones to scout ahead. "They are not rational. Their goal is power, not safety." The enemy was aware of their approach, but the combination of human improvisation and Lyrian technology gave them the upper hand. Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from the platform ahead. The rogue faction had activated a defensive barrier. Ethan felt the hovercraft shake. "They're expecting us," he said. "We need to improvise. Your unpredictability may save us." Liara followed from above, her drones cutting off escape routes and neutralizing energy traps. "Well done, human," she said. "Your ingenuity is remarkable." The rogue faction regrouped, attempting to activate the stolen energy packs. Ethan noticed a weakness in their formation. "There," he whispered, pointing to a narrow passage where the rogue scientists were most exposed. Liara nodded. "Lead the way." The rogue scientists reacted, but the humans' unpredictable moves kept them off balance. One by one, Liara's drones immobilized them, while Ethan redirected volatile energy surges safely into the crystalline structures. As they reached the main chamber, the rogue faction's leader emerged, carrying the final energy pack. "You cannot stop us," he shouted, his voice echoing across the spire. Ethan took a deep breath. Humans were not physically stronger than the Lyrian, but their creativity and courage made them formidable. He quickly analyzed the chamber, noting unstable points in the energy conduits. "We'll see about that," he muttered. Using a combination of his improvised devices and Liara's precise drone control, they managed to destabilize the energy pack's output without causing an explosion. Sparks flew, energy crackled, and the rogue leader stumbled back, surprised by the sudden failure of his plan. Liara's glow brightened as she approached the leader. "Your actions end here. The energy source is contained and will not harm Zyphora." As the chamber stabilized, Ethan turned to Liara, smiling despite the adrenaline still pumping through his veins. "We did it," he said. Liara nodded, her glowing eyes reflecting relief and something warmer, appreciation. "Yes, human, together we are effective." Ethan had proven that human ingenuity, courage, and improvisation could triumph even in a world far beyond Earth. Once the city was safe, Ethan and Liara took a moment to stand on a high platform overlooking Zyphora. The twin suns were setting, casting shimmering reflections across the crystal towers. Ethan felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Humans could be fragile, yes, but their adaptability, creativity, and courage made them indispensable. Liara looked at him, a faint blush of luminescence coloring her cheeks. "Human," she said softly, "your species continues to surprise me, not just in bravery, but in heart. Even when you make impossible things look easy." Ethan felt a sense of peace, knowing that their actions had preserved the city and proved the value of human courage and creativity. Later, in a quiet moment, Liara asked, "Human, may I hear it again?" "You are gorgeous," he said, his voice steady this time. Liara's glow brightened, a clear expression of happiness. "Again," she whispered, playful and tender. "You are gorgeous," Ethan repeated, smiling. For a moment they simply watched the moons rise over the city, the gentle hum of Zyphora filling the air. The rogue faction had been stopped, the energy source secured, and their bond had grown stronger through danger, trust, and collaboration. Ethan felt a deep sense of connection. Humans were small, but their ingenuity, courage, and ability to adapt made them significant, even in a world full of advanced and powerful beings. And standing beside Liara, he realized that sometimes the greatest strength came not from power, but from heart. As they finally rested, Ethan knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. Humans had proven their worth once again, and the bond between them and the Lyrian had grown stronger. Liara looked at him, her eyes reflecting the twin moons. "Human," she said softly, "your species may be small, but your spirit is immense. And you, Liara, continue to surprise me." And as Ethan closed his eyes that night, he felt ready for whatever the stars might bring next. Morning arrived gently on Zyphora. The twin suns rose slowly, their light passing through the crystal towers and filling the city with warm colors. The danger was over. The rogue faction had been stopped, the unstable energy secured, and for the first time in many cycles, Zyphora felt truly calm. Ethan stood on the balcony outside his quarters, looking out at the city. He had faced fear, risk, and uncertainty since arriving here, but now he felt something else, belonging. Humans were visitors on Zyphora, outsiders in a powerful alien world, yet his actions had changed how the Lyrians saw humanity. Liara approached quietly, her steps light against the crystal floor. "You did not sleep much," she said gently. Ethan smiled. "I kept thinking about everything that happened, about how close we came to losing the city." Lyrian citizens moved freely, no longer afraid. "The council will meet soon," Liara said. "They wish to speak with you." "Human Ethan Carter, your actions have altered the future of Zyphora." They acknowledged that Lyrian technology was advanced, but without adaptability it could be misused or misunderstood. "You acted without complete knowledge," the first elder said. "Yet you succeeded. This is a uniquely human strength." Therefore, the Lyrian Council formally recognizes humanity as a strategic ally, not as students, not as observers, but as equals. Some even bowed slightly to Ethan, a gesture that surprised him. "I never expected this," Ethan admitted. Liara smiled. "Neither did we. Humans have changed our perspective." "Mistake. When you spoke honestly, without strategy or calculation, it surprised me." Zyphora had changed him. Liara had changed him. She arrived just before departure. "You are leaving," she said softly. "For now," Ethan replied. "But humans keep their promises. We'll return." "Illogical." Liara stood tall against the light of the city, brilliant and calm. "Goodbye, Liara." Humans were no longer seen as weak or insignificant. They were adaptable, creative, and brave, qualities that mattered in a dangerous universe. Yet despite the praise, Ethan's thoughts often returned to Zyphora. Weeks later, a message arrived. A Lyrian transmission. The screen flickered and Liara appeared. "Human," she said, smiling. "The Council has approved a permanent human presence on Zyphora. They have requested you as the primary liaison." Humanity's unpredictable thinking complemented Lyrian precision perfectly. And at the center of it all stood Ethan and Liara, two beings from different worlds, connected by honesty, courage, and one accidental compliment. One evening, beneath the twin moons, they stood together on the observation tower. "The universe is large," Liara said, "and dangerous. But not unbeatable." Humans had found their place among the stars, not by force, not by fear, but by being human.